Welcome to Spiritual Awakening family. It is my wish to share with you a story in order to express my guidance and wisdom to you at this time of your growth. A soul so beautiful, powerful and radiant manifests into a physical body on the earth. We will label the soul Joseph, allowing the soul to take a physical male form. Joseph is now a fully grown adult and has spent much time discovering and learning about the world that exists on the earth. The light that was so bright at his birth still remains, but Joseph is no longer aware of this aspect of his being. His mind and aura have been filled with other ideas, distractions and desires. Joseph feels that there is something missing from his reality. He longs for something but cannot pinpoint what it is that he misses so much. He feels sadness inside of him even when he is happy and things feel good. Joseph decides that he must allow himself to escape and to embark on a journey. He doesn't know where he will go or what he will do, but the freedom gives him a feeling of exhilaration and excitement. He decides that although he wishes to travel, he will walk everywhere so that he can be reliant only on himself. Joseph begins to pack some bags. Unaware of how long he will be gone or where he will go, he packs many items of clothing, tools to help him survive, and even books to amuse him on his journey. He leaves his home laden down with bags, but he cannot feel their weight. His enthusiasm is carrying him forward, and knowingness that he will need all these items allows the bags to feel extremely light. He begins to walk with a spring in his step. He is not sure where he is going but decides to be creative in his decisions. Gradually the bags begin to become a burden. His enthusiasm has waned and he begins to curse the bags and himself for bringing them. He no longer feels free but tied down, just as he had felt before he left. He sits down and begins to rummage through his bags, throwing out unnecessary things until he has one small bag that holds the basics of what he will need to survive. He leaves his unneeded items at the foot of someone's door with a note telling them to take what they wish and share the rest. Again his enthusiasm has risen. After a long day of creative decisions, he finds himself by a river and decides to rest against a tree. He brings out his book and begins to read, completely entering into the fantasy world of the book. The wind begins to weave through the trees at the riverside, blowing his book across the ground. He leaves the book and huddles into his clothes for warmth. Joseph has very few belongings and the day is growing dark. He begins to wonder why he wanted to escape his reality, why he thought that the reality he has created for himself now would be any better than his previous reality. He still felt as if he was carrying so many bags, so many burdens, and wondered if there is any beauty, freedom and excitement in the earth's reality for him to experience. The wind continued to weave roughly through the trees as Joseph held tightly to his body and clothes for warmth and comfort. He felt as if the wind was speaking to him although he heard no voice. The wind was demonstrating to him that he needed to let all his burdens be blown away from him. Joseph began to think about all the things he had done which he felt ashamed about. He just let them be blown away by the wind. Then he contemplated all the times he had experienced pain and sadness, allowing all these emotions and energetic wounds to be carried away on the wave of the wind. He wondered what else there was for him to let go and realized that he must send his forgiveness on the wave of the wind to the people he blamed for hurting him or doing wrong to him in the past. He had allowed himself to be hurt. Already he felt his body was so much lighter and he could feel the sadness that had been with him always being eased, and yet the wind still blew with vigor around him. He challenged himself as to what was left to let go of. He realized that he had already detached from the people around him by even embarking on this journey. He still loved them deeply but knew now that if he had to be on his own he would be perfectly happy and could look after himself. Still holding tightly to his body, he realized something that needed his attention. He had to let go of himself. He had to let the wind carry away all his perceptions of himself, the ideas he had formed about himself, good or bad, the way in which he spoke to himself, the things that he loved and hated about himself. as well as his dreams and desires for the future which he had built in his mind from the influences of his personality and of other people. He slowly began to release his tight grip on himself physically and energetically. He was happy for big chunks of himself to be carried away from him and waited eagerly to see what would remain. He broke down into floods of tears. It was hurting so much to release certain ideas of himself, but he was also filled with so much joy and freedom. He realized that he had been waiting all his life to achieve this and knew that it was something that he would continue to achieve in his future. Falling asleep, he drifted into a dream of a tree shooting from the soil of the earth. He watched as the tree grew and grew in strength and character. The tree was tied to one spot for its life, and yet it held such freedom within its reality. He then felt himself as a tree shooting from the earth's soil right next to the first tree. He could feel worry in his body that he was growing too close to the other tree. He became taller and taller and his anxiety built. Then the wind blew once more and reminded him to let go of his anxiety and to just observe. Joseph allowed the wind to carry his anxiety and worry away. To his amazement, as a tree, he began to merge with the first taller tree. As he slipped into the tree's energy and consciousness, he realized that he had accepted a tremendous freedom within his being. Although he couldn't move from his location, he felt strong and free from burdens. He felt clear inside his mind, heart and emotions. Nothing bothered him anymore. He understood he didn't have to be like other people. He didn't need to have what others created. He could just be himself and be happy in the reality that he creates for himself. He knew that if any energies, thoughts or emotions rose within him to challenge the freedom and peace that he had created, he could just ask the wind to carry them away as long as he was ready to give them to the wind. He appreciated that he could live happily with many things around him, or he could live basically. Joseph also grasped that if it started to rain, hail or snow, then he would still be happy, and that outside experiences couldn't destroy the peace, strength and freedom he had manifested within him. The freedom brought about tremendous joy which only filled him with even more courage in his convictions. A bright sun shone down on him as he existed as a tree. He had taken on all the consciousness of the first tree and now felt a tremendous unity and connection to everything. The sun seemed to continue to shine brighter. It was as if thousands of lights were dancing around him. He imagined himself opening his chest up to the light and allowing the light to flood into his being. He woke suddenly from his dream. It was morning and he had been asleep all night with his back up against the base of the tree. His body felt electrified, buzzing with light. He wondered if it had all been a dream, but remembered the pain as he explored his energy. A knowingness came from inside of him. You have cut yourself free from the influence of humanity's general consciousness. You have given yourself the freedom to think and feel as you wish, not from your personality or the influence of others but from your soul. I am your soul and I am here to guide you forward. Let us now embark on the real journey together. In your dream you merged with a greater tree. That was me. We are one. Joseph. Observe your body, it is charged with light. Observe your heart and mind, they are open and clear. My energy is here always as a friend to guide you. Remember that nothing on the earth can create an identity for you. Your true identity is your soul and the Creator. Joseph stood up tall and stretched his body. He felt different. What shall we do? He asked himself, and the answer came instantly. I hope you have enjoyed my story. There are many messages within the words and ideas for you to contemplate and to integrate into your reality. It is for you to allow your own soul to show you the messages, as each person may see something different. You may find it beneficial to read through the message once more and write down all the messages or piece of wisdom that dawn on you. It is my belief that this message is appropriate for the times that we are experiencing on the earth and within the Creator's universe now. With angelic love, protection and support, I hope you like the video. Welcome to your channel. Don't forget to check out the other uploads.